this is Raz, and right now we're back with another episode of AH3T. That's right, your tutorial show for anything Arcana Heart 3 and character-wise. We've already hit Heart, we've hit Saki, so today we're going to hit Yoriko. Now, there's a few things you need to know about Yoriko before we get started with the Arcana. One, she's one of those characters who have a decent range on her. That's right. She might not be able to chain very well, but considering that she makes up for her lack of melee and trade in for some range power, it's really good to work with her. And Mikey, of course. If you can utilize Mikey well, many of these Arcana should not be a surprise to you. So, let's get started, okay? Number one, we got Love. Honestly, for Yoriko's type of game, if you go and use Love a lot, you're gonna be needing to learn how to on the way to the wall already be prepping a laser, or even be tracking. Because the most part, this is one of the toughest things about Love. If you try to do Love with Yoriko, it's not gonna work out too well. I would recommend this to pros because a lot of them like to knock them back or use more advanced combos to lead into the laser. But again, it's getting to the laser is the hard part. Time. Now, my first two characters, I said time was a waste. With Yoriko, not so much. Intermediates can really take good use of the speed, and pros can really make really good use of just stopping them in time to add some free hits. But again, it's going to take a little bit of a timing to really understand time pretty well with her anyways. Nature. As much as I would love to say Nature was a really good experience with her, with Yoriko, it really boils down to the lack of chaining. It's not that she can't change like Mei Fang, but the fact that she doesn't have much of a decent chain really makes for a very piss poor performance coming out of Nature. Honestly, not the best showing. We got Osuchi. Now, Osuchi's not so bad. You can technically get away with throwing a rock over somebody's head while preparing yourself a talisman. I also forgot to mention the talisman because it wasn't really strong in the gameplay, but in this one, you want to get the talisman. So if you set the talisman up right, you can have a whole lot of fun. Really good fun. Thunder. Well, lightning in this case. As much as I want to say lightning was a really good chance, it's very good to keep them away when you're using a talisman. So if you're pro talisman, go with the lightning a little bit. This is definitely an intermediate trick, but you can also use it to trail and do a lot of good stuff. Evil. Her native one, but she doesn't make really good use of it. Mainly because the extend doesn't work so well. Most times you want a rushed out character who wants to put a lot of damage in someone's face to really be doing the damage you need. Yoriko doesn't do that. Yoriko takes large chunks and not a whole lot. Light. This is a bad choice for Yoriko because basically a lot of the combos involve Mikey pushing them back. Unless you're going to be coming from underneath, which then is a viable option, I wouldn't be using light at all. Blossom. This is another one that really is a miss for Yoriko because Blossoms is good when you're rushing and basically the play and go method works because you do a constant extend. But if you can't use the extend constantly here, because of her lack of melee competitiveness, it really doesn't work too well in this case. I say you move on. Alright, quick second. Sound. Sound is a really good tool for pros, intermediates as well. Beginners are going to have to get a little bit of practice. It provides a good setup. It provides very good in shenanigans. And overall, you can use Mikey, go into the freaking vibrations, and then freaking come up and add some extra damage. It's really good for her. It's a really good set. Metal. If you're going to be doing a quick talisman, put the shield up. If you're going to be looking to charge the super, try to look for a better way to charge your super if you're going to be using metal. This is definitely going to be one of the times I say pros only, because it takes so much work to freaking set up. It's a setup with her. We go into wind. Wind is really good if you know how to work Mikey's air game. Not to mention, it also adds some really well-needed hits when you need to get the hits going. It's a really good one, and I preferred it in the first game. In the third one, there's one actually a little better than that. Darkness. Darkness is really good for a finisher, but for Yoriko, it acts more as a conduit. You basically want to sit them down so you can buy time. Basically, that is what it is. If you need to buy a little bit of time to power up, this would be a good opportunity, especially if you know how to quickly do a triangle talisman. Magnetism. My most preferred here. This is definitely one of the ones that everyone can use and is really, really strong. Not only can you get a large magnetism shield going, most fools are going to fly right into it. And I say it real lovely too. They're going to fly right into it. Oh, there's a big ball of electricity and magnetism. Let's fly into it. Okay. You fly into it, and while they're flying back, talisman. There is no other explanation. It's just too damn simple here. And they want to be funny? Oh, pull an Arcana. Let's drop some damn trash on them. Water. Here, it's more used if you're going to be knocking them back, because it adds a slowdown effect. But if you're not going to extend, no point really using this one either. Fire. For Yoriko, a very tough Arcana to use, mainly because it does a lot of pop-up scenarios. Sure, it can be widely used, but without the proper pursuit tactics, you can only get maybe 1 or 2 hits in, and without a lack of an air super, no, we're not even gonna bother. Mirrors. There's really nothing much to say. She doesn't have anything that's really good for a pursuit aspect, so mirrors would be just a waste. Let's move on. Ice. Now, as much as I like slipping and sliding and all that, Yoriko really can't utilize ice as well as some of the other characters. It's not saying that it can't be done, especially on a pro level, because some pros will freaking knock them into the air with Mikey and then toss an icicle in their face, or let it hail some snow, or even bust down a little bit of an icicle shield, or icicle burst, we like to call it. But again, it takes a whole lot more to run an ice thing here, so I steer clear. Luck. This is a real good opportunity when you want to stack a lot of damage. And when I mean stack a lot of damage, you can toss some dice and be in the middle of a combo, add more damage, and then reset and restart it again while still in the middle of a combo. It really works well. Especially if you're lucky. Oh, great work, great work. I'm at Sin. Okay. Sin here, I'm going to honestly just say, unless you're willing to freaking pull off a quick combo or be in the middle of a move, commit, and automatically go for the arcane flare, the arcane freaking Arcana flare, it's really not going to be worth it. Arcana burst combos usually are tough, and with Sin, though it's a little bit easier, it still doesn't work too well. Outside of that, you could use it for freaking distance control while you're pulling off talismans, or using Mikey's pokes, but there's another one more reliable than that. Punishment. If you're looking to do a lot of range control, you can use punishment. You can use it you can be a pseudo Ryu with it, because you can get that going, and because they're too scared to come in or they're gonna have to fly up, you can find alternate routes if we can make them pay for it. It's a really good show at punishment. The problem is that if you're going to be using Yoriko with punishment, you're going to have to be cognate of the air. Especially if opponents want to just fly down. They think it's Superman. You don't have really much of an answer with punishment. Holy. Now, if you're looking for an answer for your air flyers, this is the one. Swords, balancing it out. Yoriko doesn't have too many strengths in the air, but for what she does have with Holy, it really makes a very good experience, especially with the knockback If you knock them back, and then you come up with Mikey, following up with the Mikey laser. Oh yes, I have yet to mention the Mikey laser, but in this particular case, it makes for some good fun. Fenrir. This one I would like to say is a little bit more reliable for anti-air, and it's very good for just pushing them back. This is a ranged one, and this for Yoriko works well. Push it back with Mikey, they're far enough to get blasted by a cannon. Yes, the cannon. And the cannon also comes with exploded rounds, so you can really get good use and get good opportunities and chances to pull a talisman, because they'll be too scared to be blasted clear across the screen to be trying to get so damn. They're gonna be too busy trying to get in close, and by the time they get in close, you can fuck them in the head by putting up a machine gun in the air. You can start using Mikey, or you can just flat out blast them when they think they can hit the floor safely. Fuck wrong with you? Get blasted. And last, we got Tyr. In this case, Tyr really doesn't work well. Again, it suffers with a lot of the maidens. It just doesn't do what it's supposed to do. Sure, and you can get it to pursue. This would be the one that you can pursue with, but even if you get the pursuit on, the second arcane super is just not enough to really do it. That's where your freaking pain comes in, right there. If you can't dish out pain there, don't even bother. So, now for a quick recap. Alright? Love, pros only, mainly because it requires a little bit of laser work. Time, intermediates and better. You can use it to add extra speed, getting across the screen back and forth, but it's also used good to keep people stuck while you're doing talismans. Nature, if you can get the zoning correctly, I recommend nature to pros only. Earth, Suchi as I like to call them, as we like to call it, Earth, intermediates, mainly because there's so many options, and the fact that they stagger, you can stagger an opponent while doing talisman or other Mikey shenanigans is good. Lightning, at your own risk on any front. It's just really, really tough to work around. Poison, pros only if you have mastered extend and you can really capitalize from the extend. Light, only good if you're going to be zoning. So pro zoners in this case. Blossoms, it doesn't work. Let's move on. Sound, pros only, mainly because, again, the setup. It takes a little bit of setting up to really work well with this. If you can extend, it makes it a little bit easier because you clump up the vibrations, but again, pros only because of setup reasons. Metal, pros only because you have to know how to get the shield and deploy it out fast. If you can't deploy your shield fast enough, you just have problems. Wind, if you got a good air game, intermediate jugglers are better, okay? Darkness, pros only, and is only used if you want to get a good finish or if you want to stall to pull talisman. Magnetism, user friendly for all ranks, beginners, intermediates, and pros, they'll use it. Water, pros only if they really want to get down and dirty with the slow. If you can slow them down, it works. Fire, no go. Let's move on. Mirrors, no go. Let's move on. Ice, pros only, and that's only if you can get a good chance to pursue. If you can't pursue while on ice, you have a problem. Luck, beginners may have to take a little bit of practice, but it's user friendly for everybody. Punishment, not punishment, sin, pro chainers only, mainly because you have to be mastering the chain and have them already in the air in a state where they can't recover. Punishment, intermediates and better. I can honestly say this is really an intermediates tool, but the pros would get a better use from punishment. Holy, intermediates and better, mainly because it requires a lot of knockback work. Fenrir, pros only, and you have to be aware of your zoning technique because you can be broken if not careful. And Tyr, let's just not talk about him, steer clear. So, we have that in order. Next up will be Lilica. So until then, peace.